were in a phase where the company was not making profits. You all were questioning whether do you even want to continue this. It's when there was a pivot in the business, right?
So it's so strange because a company like Bharat Floorings went through multiple cycles of almost shutting down. One was
So there were
of course,
multiple cycles.
Multiple
Wow.
cycles. It's not that happens just once.
Family-run businesses in India are more than just enterprises. They are legacies built over generations, carrying stories of resilience, financial planning, craftsmanship, and deep-rooted values. As times change, the challenge isn't just about preserving these legacies, but also reimagining them for the future. Welcome to the second episode of Building Legacies. Today, I have a very special guest, Firdaus Variava, owner of Bharat Floorings and Tiles, a brand that has been shaping India's architectural landscape for over a century. Under Firdaus's leadership, the company has blended heritage with contemporary design, ensuring that its legacy of craftsmanship continues to inspire new generations. From preserving arsenal techniques to embracing modern aesthetics, Firdaus has taken Bharat Floorings beyond tradition, turning legacy into a timeless statement. Welcome, Firdaus. So, Firdaus, I understand that your grandfather started the BFT, if I'm not wrong, some 100 years back in 1922, right? Take us a little back in the origin. Why is this legacy so superior? What have you done to make sure that the legacy continues the way it is? Give us some bits of where it all started.
So a chance meeting with a freedom fighter got my grandfather started on his entrepreneurial journey and changed him from his plan of becoming a lawyer to becoming an entrepreneur.
Wow.
And not just one business, but he started multiple businesses.
Interesting.
With the goal of being an industrialist who would manufacture things in India.
Sure.
So he started multiple companies and his goal was building a legacy. So what he wanted was that India should produce products and not be reliant on imports. And what's more is that the product should be equal to the world's best.
Wow.
So whatever he started at that time, he started a company called Grindwell Norton, he started Bharat Floorings, he started various companies. In each of them, the goal was the same. Take the world's best product and its Indian manufacturer should be as good as that. Since then, of course, BFT has been an integral part of India's architectural heritage. I mean, we have done buildings like the Art Deco buildings on Marine Drive, Malabar Hill, Royal Opera House. I mean, in fact, our floorings have adorned royal palaces like the Umayyad Bhavan Palace, the headquarters of Air India, and the most latest one, of course, is the Parliament of India.
Oh wow, many congratulations.
Thank you. So, the Virasat of BFT is special because it intertwines with India's journey towards self-reliance and showcases a commitment to quality and excellence. So over the years we have embraced innovation while preserving traditional craftsmanship.
Very interesting.
And we ensure that our tiles continue to adorn both historic buildings as well as contemporary spaces.
I think this is very interesting because if you go pre-independence, which is 1922 when all of these things started, while on one side there was so much of struggle for you to even survive in that non-independent era, and then you have your grandfather who actually was looking at building a legacy in a way where you wanted to reduce imports, you wanted to build a brand which could compete to global brands. And I think at that time having this thought, and I'm sure I was doing some research where I also read that in the interim you all were in a phase where the company was not making profits. You all were questioning whether do you even want to continue this. It's when there was a pivot in the business, right? Tell us what worked out. What changes did you make? How did this really started working in your favor?
So it's so strange because a company like Bharat Floorings went through multiple cycles of almost shutting down. One was
so there were multiple cycles.
Multiple cycles. It's not that happens just once. It happened multiple times where the company almost shut down.
Wow.
And each time there was a pivot towards something else which kept it alive. So, there was, for instance, to be brief, there was the Second World War when all the bags of cement had to be surrendered for war effort.
Ooh.
So, company couldn't manufacture tiles. Then after that, there was an era when there was unionization and, unions were shutting down the factories.
Crazy.
Then there was an era when, there was a license Raj. I don't think we remember this license Raj, but
I think I only read about it. Yeah.
I mean, it was a thing when the government was like, you can only make so many tiles and all that.
Yeah.
So there have been multiple points when things were, then of course there were ceramics, cheap competitors. So at each point, actually, the company had to kind of make a choice as to what will keep it afloat.
Yeah.
And it was a sheer determination on the founders, including my mother, that this company will not shut. We will keep it going by one means or the other. So when I took it over, so I had to also make a choice. And one of the things that we pivoted towards and we wanted to keep the legacy going, because it was a legacy, was that we had to make some innovation.
Sure.
So we took out our old designs, we took out our own catalog, we reinvited, we revived those styles, and then we started infusing modern Indian design into our catalog. So what happened was that while we had all the old designs which appealed to a lot of architects doing restoration projects, but then we also started getting new designers, and we were working with like really top-notch designers from around the world, not just India, who gave us a wide range of stuff that was contemporary.
Sure.
And also preserve some of the heritage touch. So by this means, we kind of kept the legacy alive of Bharat Floorings and reintroduced it to the market and made it relevant again.
I think, Firdaus, that is a very interesting point that I take from what you just said. Any legacy business which is running for multi-decades, right, they will go through multiple pivots, right? You made a mention of the license Raj and the World War II. And if you're not able to, kind of accustom to the new challenge at that point in time, you will die.
Yes,
right?
True.
So I think what I take back is so interesting that business is not just built and it's not just a smooth ride. You will typically go through multiple pivoting points, and if the new generation is not able to adapt to that, then continuing that legacy is always going to be a challenge, right? Very interesting. And another thing that I was so excited when I heard, and I really want to ask you, today also I see a lot of the male of the house who kind of really is leading from the front. I was so happy when you made a mention that your mother was actually the one who took care of the finances at that point in time, which actually gave you the stability to go ahead and run the business. Tell us a little about that.
So my grandfather passed away in 1970, and at that time also the business was going through some challenges. I think that was when the license Raj happened. And at that time my grandmother took over the business.
Oh wow.
So she was actually, I think till that time she was more or less a housewife. Suddenly she was plunged into this situation where she had to restructure the company. There were people on strike. She had to pay off the debts.
Wow.
She did a lot of work.
Wow.
And then she pulled my mother into it. She said that, can you come and help me? So my mother joined. So this whole financial independence started from them. And, they both really were a great example of how to plan for the future in terms of generational wealth management.
Yeah.
How do you hedge your bets? How do you ensure that whatever property, whatever legacy you have is not lost? This was a fine example for the rest of us, and that was a very beautiful thing for me to see growing up.
I think there cannot be a better example of how the lady of the house is so powerful, and it is her who probably, in my opinion, does very good in her own space in terms of financial management. But if she takes a larger role, I think the outcome is going to be much larger, right? Is because today also in India, I think it is them and it is their jewelry or their savings that are actually used as risk management.
Yes,
when things go wrong at
I absolutely agree.
So there is absolutely zero doubt, at least in my opinion, of why the lady of the house, if starts participating, the legacy that the that the business
Yeah.
is trying to build is going to be only far superior than this. Firdaus, looking back, tell me that one thing that makes you the most proud that you feel about in building what you've built in this legacy that we are talking about today.
Well, looking back, what makes me most proud is that we haven't just preserved BFT's legacy, but we've also strengthened it for the future. A century-old brand surviving is one thing, but ensuring it continues to grow for generations to come is actually the real achievement. And it gives me immense pride to say that Bharat Floorings has stayed true to its roots while evolving with the times. For me, that's what legacy is all about. Building something that stays strong beyond a lifetime.
Agree. Firdaus, I think, look, building such a large legacy is one part of it, right? But I think the more challenging part, at least the way I look at it, is how do you make sure in terms of risk management or in terms of financial planning that when you pass this on to the next generation, they are also able to not just survive but thrive like you did.
So honestly, preserving a legacy business, particularly one like Bharat Floorings, isn't just about craftsmanship and innovation. It's about making the right choices to ensure its longevity.
Sure.
And that's a lesson I've deeply internalized from my mother,
Wow.
who played a crucial role in stabilizing BFT during challenging times. And it's the importance of financial discipline and long-term vision. Watching her navigate crisis, settle debts, working towards reviving the company's heritage instilled in me the value of balancing reinvestment with sustainability and diversifying risks.
Very interesting.
That's why I believe a legacy isn't just about the business. It's also about the people who will carry it forward. For me, this Virasat is deeply personal and a source of immense pride. Just as my mother ensured BFT's survival and growth, I hope to do the same for my daughter and son, who I see as its future custodians.
Awesome.
And that's why I believe in having financial planning in place to ensure stability and support, no matter the circumstances.
Firdaus, you and I will come across a lot of people who've been able to actually build legacies. But there are multiple examples where we've seen that people are not really able to take that legacy to the next generation. For the audience, give us that one piece of advice that you think will really help them to take this legacy to the next generation.
So I do think that financial planning is a huge part of any legacy, but you have to have a composite basket of various types of investments,
Agree.
various types of things which all serve a different purpose. And so these are things that I think my mother taught me. I mean, I watched her, and she always allocated things in different ways, thinking of various scenarios that could happen. And so she was always planning for the future, like not just for today, but preserving that legacy, that family wealth should always grow and not take a hit if unexpected things happen, because she had seen unexpected things happen. She lived through it.
Yeah.
So both she and my grandmother, they actually lived through these times when you had far more uncertainty and far more chaos than you have today. I mean, we live in actually very peaceful times in India, you know. So no matter how successful a venture is, the family behind it isn't financially secure. The entire legacy is at risk.
Completely agree.
That's why financial safeguards like term insurance aren't just an optional, they're essential. And they ensure that what you are building continues to stand strong no matter what happens. So the message is simple: building legacy is important, but preserving it is also equally critical.
As we wrap up this conversation, one thing is clear, that we put our heart and soul in building the Virasat. It's equally important to protect the building of the Virasat. Whether it's a house, gold, or a saving, a legacy is only as strong as the safeguards we put in place. And that is where Kotak Life term insurance plans ensure that the Virasat you are building with so much of effort continues to grow uninterrupted no matter what.